you want to skirt or something? Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Back Talk with Bauer. I am Joshua J. Bauer Art. This is the Bunny, and we got Dan Fox from It's All Fine and Dangy joining us here in just a minute to talk about all things WandaVision. But before we get to that, we got to thank the awesome sponsors to help keep the lights on that are blinding Bunny currently and helping us stream and all that good stuff. You don't need to see. See, you can't see yourself, so you don't have to whine. But
still gonna whine.
You're always going to whine. So we got to thank the one, the only Kingdom of Comics. A big shout out to Jason and Paula for being awesome sponsors of this show. We greatly appreciate it. You can find them at kingdomofcomics.com or facebook.com/Kingdom of Comics Shop. Make sure to put 2 S's in there when you put in Comics Shop, because you'll not find them if you do that. And then they are on 4320 South Babcock Street in beautiful Melbourne, Florida. If you were looking for new comics, an authorized CGC dealer, toys, graphic novels, rare collectibles, pops, statues, and so much more, they are the place to check out. Fridays are half off any beer with the purchase of a trade paperback or graphic novel. And they've got, I actually remembered to text Jason right before the show. Right before. Man, tonight went quick. So like all of a sudden, like, oh crap, I didn't message him. So he wanted me to plug a few things here and there. So he's got these awesome Star Wars Black Series of Commander Gree. These figures, oh god, we're tiny. These guys are $35 each, but if you tell Kingdom of Comics you heard it on Back Talk with Bauer, you get 10% off one of these. So make sure to check that out. They also have a bunch of new Miles Morales Funko Pops from the new game, and that's another one. If you mention Back Talk with Bauer, you will be able to get 10% off those. So please check out Kingdom of Comics on Facebook. If you're not in the Florida area and you want to order through them, you can go right to their Facebook, message them, bug them, let them know that I sent you, and you should be able to get an awesome deal. So facebook.com/Kingdom of Comics Shop, kingdomofcomics.com, and tell them that we sent you. Now let's get this show on the road. What's up, guys and girls? I am Joshua J. Bauer Art. That is the Bunny, and you are tuning in to Back Talk with Bauer. Yes, Cal Nunez, the one, the only Bunny, has graced us with her presence. Hi, Bunny.
Hi. I didn't think I had a choice.
No, you really didn't. So we were supposed to have a decent roundtable tonight, but nobody really wanted to come on the show, which was weird. Luckily, we got Dan on, and we'll be introducing him in a minute. But the other person I had, what? Thanks, hon. But the other person I was supposed to have on tonight ended up having to cancel. So I said, Bunny, you're going to be on the show. And here we are.
Being blinded by light, so you're getting whatever's coming out of my mouth.
But yeah, and what's up, Terry, all the way from Ireland? Thank you for letting me know that you got your parcel, because he's Irelandish and fancy talk. So he got his parcel. His package. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. Can you turn the little fan on low? Because I am already roasting in here. To the right. You can do it. I believe in you. Yay! So if you guys dig the show, you like the artwork on behind me, you like the logo, the video intro, any of that good stuff, head over to jbauerart.com and you can purchase all that awesome stuff. You can click on the merch shop to buy shirts, get awesome stuff like that, or you can head over to the art shop where you can buy bad boys like these things. These are hand-painted comic covers. We got Darth Vader. We got Captain America holding Meow, however you say that.
Manure?
That too. That sounded like manure. And then you've got Boba Fett as well. And also the limited edition Iron Man mask prints that are going on until like the 15th, I think. So you can get those right now, jbauerart.com. If you have any questions, message me. But yeah, so we are here to talk about WandaVision. If you don't know what that is, get the hell out. And also, no, you sat there and watched it with me. I fucking saw you. So, yeah, we're going to discuss
I was put on
WandaVision.
this earth to fuck with you.
I know, and you were
and I'm really good at my job.
So we want to talk about WandaVision. We are going to talk about spoilers. You can't. It's been a few days. It's almost been a week. If you haven't seen it, click away and then come back and watch it on YouTube or something later.
Spoilers too fucking bad.
That's a really long hashtag. You're terrible. But yeah, so let's get into it. Let's bring on our guest and invite him into this mess of a show. It is Dan from It's All Fine and Dangy. Hello, sir. How are you?
How are you guys?
Good, man.
Look, I nerded out with my Marvel shirt too.
I love it. I love it.
Old school. Oh, yeah, this is reminiscent of my childhood times right here.
Yeah,
she's the old one.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of a throwback, but it's a newer shirt, so it doesn't count.
No, it's not.
No? Well,
it's like 5 years old.
Oh, really?
It's probably been maybe worn one.
So, we get into we got into WandaVision and it just wrapped up. We had 9 episodes? And it was it's the first of its kind from Marvel. It's a new wave of shows that they're trying to do, because we've had Marvel shows before that were supposed to be connected to the movies. We're fucking not. I mean, you had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, which both, I think Kevin Feige has said that they're not canon. Maybe the first few seasons here and there, but they've really kind of thrown it out the window. And then we also had the Netflix series, which I incredibly enjoyed, but those were way off to the side. Like, they could have, if they came out and went, yeah, that was another universe or another multiverse, I would have been like, yeah, okay, totally believe it. Mom's on.
I hear rumors, though. I don't know how. Go ahead, sorry.
Yes.
Best thing out of all the Netflix ones, Kilgrave.
Oh, nice. So I don't know how true this is, but I know. And first off, let me just say that I love nerding out about this stuff, but I'm not like a deep comic book guy anymore. I used to be years ago. I'm getting older now, but I bought comics again maybe 3 years ago, and the artwork is great, and the comics are so much better. But I think I just remember the stories from my childhood. But I collected comics from, this is really going to show my age, maybe 1982 to 1987 or so. Well, some of these stories, I will tell you though, some of these key stories that have been in the movies, the Marvel movie, they come from that time period. Some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you guys are talking about the things that weren't really Marvel necessarily MCU or tie-ins, but the Netflix, like Daredevil, was one of my favorite comic books ever. And I hear rumors, I don't know if it's true, but I hear rumors that Charlie Cox may be introduced into the MCU. So that would be really cool.
Well, and now I think every Netflix show is open to, like, it's been released to Disney. So Disney now can either bring the shows back, bring the characters back. They can do whatever they want because now they've got it back from Netflix.
And with the multiverse, you can do anyone. You can have all of them. I'm
really hoping they bring all those characters back. Maybe not Iron Fist, because that was not a good show.
I hear everybody say that. I didn't know that comic, so I didn't watch it.
It wasn't like, I never follow. I knew, and I'm another person, I didn't read a ton of comics when I was younger, but I know the lore. I know some of the backstories and stuff like that. So I go in with a bit more of an open mind. But the Iron Fist show was just, they were missing something. I still can't figure it out.
Well, I don't want to say everything. Every piece of the conversation tonight, I don't want to say as an author, but I have a tendency to think about the story more, like the actual story, more than the lore. Or it's cool if it ties in, but I don't really. If it doesn't stay on it, I don't really care. To me, there's a moment where some of these stories, I love the Marvel movies. They're not perfect, but I love them. But there was a moment, we'll get into it because I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a moment in WandaVision where it started losing me a little bit, and I was in. I was like, it was my favorite show on TV.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that, but I want to save that for a little bit.
You got it.
I want to kind of go in order a little bit.
Of course, let's do it.
My first question would be for all of us is, and I probably know your answer, but when we were first getting into this, they started advertising it. WandaVision becomes the first Marvel thing that has come out since in a year or almost longer. We were
Was
supposed
it
to have
Endgame or was it the last Spider-Man movie? I can't
the
remember.
last Spider-Man movie, I think, was the last thing to
think
come
so.
out, and then and there was, and I think, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. I think them shuffling things ended up changing some of WandaVision and what some of the stuff we didn't get, and things of that nature.
Yep.
But how were you going into it? Were you having hopes? Were you kind of just gonna check it out, or was there anything you were hoping for?
Yeah, so I'll tell you again. I had this is the kind of thing that will make you go no, but I had all these comic books that I left with like a girlfriend because I was mad because we split up so many years. Yeah, I know. And it was like the Punisher first limited series, the Vision and Scarlet Witch, the first limited series. It was like 4 or 5 comics. So many of these things, but none of those were part of the story. And I guess I just seeing the trailer for me, I was really excited. I liked how it showed, if memory serves, it showed like the little snippets of the different, classic TV settings.
Right.
And then it would give you just a little hint that something is wrong. And I love that kind of story. I love the kind of story where there's something going on behind the scenes. And it gave me the impression that you got to really watch, like Lost or something. You know what I mean? You got to pay attention to the details because there's going to be some cool stuff. So if you just watch it at a visceral level, you might barely notice the weird stuff. And I feel like it kind of started like that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And I was very intrigued with the playing on the old sitcoms and stuff like that. And I was really entertained that they were going with so many. So you were going to get different ones from every generation, basically.
And it was done so well. I mean, they even did a square. Remember that? Did you notice that? They even did it wasn't widescreen. It was like square. It was really cool.
So cool when you got into later episodes of how the aspect ratio changed from the TV world to the outside world.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job with that.
Agree.
What were some of your thoughts going in? Were you probably had nothing. Now you never read comics. No, but you've gotten into it since being with me, and you have lived the Marvel Cinematic Universe with me ever since it started.
And I think that's where I'm kind of weird because didn't read comic books, but read a lot of regular other books. And always when they make books into movies, I can compartmentalize, and they're totally different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
same.
The Harry Potter movies versus the Harry Potter books. They're two separate.
You have to. Because it's never as good, right?
I'm disappointed.
Well, and it's like different universes almost. And then, especially when it comes to these Marvel shows, we've already had the stories tell in the comics. Yeah, you can pick little iconic scenes or little themes here and there, but why tell the same exact story again? We've already had that story.
Pay homage to the comics, but they don't have to be this comic storyline.
No.
But it's also, I mean, I will tell you, just even as an author of novels, right? And I've started writing a screenplay, but it's very similar to that because the comics wouldn't even work in a movie. They just wouldn't work. I mean, they've done such a genius job of making it something that works on screen, and it's not silly. I mean, if I'm almost 50, but I remember like the first Spider-Man TV show, and it was so bad. It was great for me because I was a kid. But they've done such a good job with these shows and movies that, you can be an adult and it's taken very seriously and it's done very seriously. I love that part of it.
Well, and even the goofier ones like Guardians of the Galaxy they
some of my favorites
and fun, but it's still cool. And it's not, and like a lot of people talk about Guardians beforehand. I mean, Guardians wasn't that cherished before the movie. Like, there were some hardcore fans here and there, but that movie...
Never read it, never even heard of it before the movie.
No. I heard when they first mentioned, we're bringing Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like on Google, what the hell is Guardians of the Galaxy?
And it was kind of like Transformers. When Transformers was coming to a movie, I was like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, and it was amazing. But when they said Guardians and there's a raccoon, I'm like, this is going to be for little kids. Yeah. And it was like, it was almost... not for little kids in a way that the other ones were. So I loved it. It's some of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. So we get into the first few episodes. And now I will admit that we watch a YouTube channel called New Rockstars. And they deal with... I'm familiar. They do a lot of fan theories. They do a lot of... I got into them because they did... I got into them because they started doing...
the guy from New Rockstars, he was dead set that Mephisto was going to be in it.
Yeah, he's kind of
Oh yeah,
eating.
a ton of people were. I mean, a ton of people were. We're getting into the end of the conversation, but yeah, a ton of people totally were. It's
So-
like, or Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or Doctor Strange, or so. But I got into them with their Easter eggs and everything, and then they do
Yeah.
fan theories. So they speculate what's going to happen, what's coming up, and that's
Mhm.
what's been that was really cool with this series. And I really got into it because you had those week breaks in between, so you could have all those conversations.
I love that. That is so different when you watch an episodic TV show. It's like
Mhm.
Breaking Bad is my favorite TV show ever, and Angie watched it with me after we got together, and it's
Mhm.
different. When you're hanging for a week, it's different than just
Oh, yeah.
plowing through. Because
Yep.
they design them to where it's the worst possible spot to stop in the story is at the
Mhm.
end of each episode.
Oh,
So,
there-
now people can just watch 5 minutes into the next one, then stop.
Yeah, there was a few times here and there that and a lot of them ended suddenly with WandaVision, like because
Yeah.
you couldn't really tell the time, so they would
Just
just
please stand by.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and I like would
I know, and I would hit pause, and it's like there's like 9 minutes of credits, so it was like
Oh.
deceiving. Where you would think, oh, there's plenty left; it's not going to be over yet, and
And
then
that-
it would do that.
And one of the things, I don't know where it came from, who did it, but if I ever find out, I'm burning your house down. The thing when it was the last 3 episodes,
Oh, we're supposed to be an hour
they
long.
were supposed to be an hour long.
No, Angie told me that.
Yeah, I'm like,
They weren't.
I will find you.
So
we get
anyway,
into- we get into the first 3 episodes, which were very set in the reality Wanda created. And we are just the first episode, we're thrown right into her little reality. There is no build up. There is no little explanation. Because like you've gotten into some movies and there's a little bit of build up or a little bit of like, you get a little story. No, you're right into this fake world she creates, and you're in it for 3 episodes straight.
I love that though. That is, to me, that is high concept, high thinking. That to me, you're treating the audience like you've got an intelligent group that
Mhm.
because they're going to dig and those fan theories and all those things. I love that there was no explanation. Vision died, so right away you're like, what this isn't, what is this, like a dream? And I love that about it because it's not explained. It's just hang on tight and figure it out. That was the biggest thing that drew me to the show, that it was so high concept.
Yeah, and I was really interested in it, and it was definitely a very different start from everything else Marvel that we've had to this date. Like you're kind of it's a weird cold start, and I remember and the whole online community over the past several weeks has been very interesting because I remember the first 3 weeks everybody shitting on this show. What the hell?
Really?
This is yeah. Like
wow.
From my end, there was a lot of people there was some people like, people that loved Marvel and all that stuff, but there was a lot of other people that just could not get into it, was like, what the hell are we watching? And
that's a shame.
Yeah. And it's like, first off, we're doing something new. It's this whole totally different. It's not a movie. You're not going to get, start and end right in the first episode. And then, some people were like, well, I listened to Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin. And Mark Bernardin was kind of complaining that like, if you didn't watch Marvel for 10 years and this was your first introduction, you really couldn't get into it because there was so much hidden stuff and there wasn't something like really catching your attention. I'm like, this was not for new people. I really
agree. I like that though. I mean, I know it's probably a little bit of marketing because it drives you backwards. If you started watching it and you were kind of into it, but you were lost, you'd be like, I gotta go watch the Marvel movies. I'm sure there's some of that in there.
Oh yeah. And there's quite a few people that I think went and watched it back that just got into it because of WandaVision. Yeah. And I think that's smart. And
I do too.
This was for the people that have put 10 plus years into Marvel.
Crazy, it's been that
with
long.
The original Iron Man. And we're like, yes, we know everything. We will watch it. We got it. Angie's popping in. Let's see. I would come and say hi, but I am in my jammies.
I just texted her and said, hey, you want to jump in and say hi? But yeah, I get it. But her and I were so on the same page with this thing too. And back to the point you just said, I guess kind of to tie that in, as a fan of the movies and stuff, and as a fan of all the characters when I was a kid, and I even missed some of the Marvel movies. They were coming out so quickly, and they did a really good job of, like, in the next movie, and I don't remember exactly which one, but like I missed the Winter Soldier, but they would make a reference in Iron Man or something that would make you like, I gotta go watch that now. And it worked really well because I ended up going back and just watching all of them to have the full story. It's kind of like what I feel like they did with WandaVision. It's partially business, but it's partially that high concept thing where it's like, just wait, we're gonna slowly reveal enough to allow you to figure it out.
Oh yeah. And like even one of the reveals, I want to say it was like the second episode. You see, it wasn't an end credit, but it was the end of the episode, and they pull back from the TV, and it's a sword agent with a notepad closing.
Yes, I loved that.
That was like your first indication that
I loved that
was going on.
Well, and there were no end credits. That was the weirdest thing too, is there were no end credits, and all us Marvel fans watched all 9 minutes of credits
every single
in case there
one
was a mid credit or an end credit. And I saw some of those theories too. Like, did you notice that every episode ends in Vision's eye? And it does. It kind of zooms into his eye. So I didn't see. I know the new rock stars. I've seen that guy do other stuff, but I read what I call the nerd news. So I have an app that just flips through like techie news, which is my thing. And every once in a while, there'd be a Marvel article in there. That was kind of my source for some of the stuff I heard that didn't really happen.
What were your thoughts on the first three?
I don't know why you have me in here.
I don't know either. Because I needed some. We can bounce off some things. Well, you were digging it. You weren't, because you've watched, I think, almost every movie with me. And you've at least watched all the big ones. So I think, and now I will say, because Kayla doesn't know all and even I don't know all the background stuff, and there's a lot in this show that's hidden, or little hidden things, and she would pick it up or I would pick it up, and then we would wait for the next day and watch the new Rockstars recap, and he would break down every little bit of the episode. And either one of us would be like, "Oh, I didn't catch that," and then the other one would be, "Oh, I caught that." So those were really good. So either New Rockstars or whoever you find, but New Rockstars has, I think, one of the best recaps.
So I have a question, and I'm sorry, you said Kayla. Good.
Yes.
Is it Bunny or Kayla?
It is both. Her actual name is Kayla, and then her nickname is Bunny.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Bunny.
Yes.
So, Bunny, I have a question for you. Do you like just everything Marvel? Is there anything that you saw before this Marvel where you were like, eh?
See,
I guess Iron Fist.
Like I like certain things. Like with like the Netflix series, Jessica Jones was my favorite.
Yeah.
But I loved it because I tend to follow certain actors.
Oh yeah, I get that for sure.
And I'm blanking on his name. Kilgrave is David Tennant.
David Tennant.
And I was a fan with him with Doctor Who, being the 10th Doctor.
Oh, okay. I get it.
And I loved the character that he played. And same thing with like the one I'm looking forward to the most is the Loki series.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big Tom Hiddleston fan.
Yeah.
I watch anything Tom Hiddleston.
Right, I got you. I think, to your point, I think that's what really made it easy for a lot of people to get into the Marvel movies at all, because everybody loves Robert Downey Jr. That was an easy point of entry. Because you could be like, I don't care about comic book movies at all. But when you found out he was doing it, so I get what you're saying totally, that specific to the actor. Were there some of your favorites in WandaVision? I mean, what made you so interested in it? Was it because of the movies?
I don't know.
I think with WandaVision, we're
all starving for Marvel content right now.
I think that was one of it. We were just dying for something Marvel. We haven't had anything new in a while. And we haven't been able to do this in a while.
And actually, I really like Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Because she also plays in another movie with Tom Hiddleston.
It's all connected.
Oh, wow.
It all goes back to Hiddleston.
But actually, if you look, there's like I am blanking on names tonight. The one that plays the Great One.
Great One?
From Doctor Strange.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta watch that. Everybody tells me I would love it.
It's all right. That's one of the ones I didn't love.
Really?
Her.
Now,
I don't know her name.
Tom Hiddleston's in a movie called Only Lovers Left Alive with her.
Dear Lord, the woman.
It's like the 6 Degrees of Tom Middleton instead of Kevin Bacon.
But like he's like husband to all these different characters, and they play together in Marvel as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, what also got us with this one we could sit down, and it was Friday night. We could watch it together.
Oh,
And this
so
is like
true.
we've both gotten into, because I made her sit down with the first episode because I was super excited. She was,
Yeah.
But like,
I'm also horrible at waiting.
yeah, she likes to.
I wait until they're all done, and then I just
Yeah. Well,
And
what I just said, like that, there's a thing about it that makes a story different when you have to wait. But I think I kind of fell right between the two of you because I wasn't super excited. And Angie and I don't watch a ton of TV, and she's like me. We work 50 hours a week and day job stuff, but not to mention all the other stuff. But when we finally make it to the couch, if we are even awake enough to watch something, we will pick a few select series to watch. We're watching like Servant on Apple TV, which is amazing, by the way. But this one was available, and I was like, oh, well, let's check it out. And the first episode really got us intrigued. The second episode, me more than her, I think. The second episode, both of us were like, this is really good. By the third episode, we were like, this is amazing. This is the best show I've seen forever. I think it's that investment that really messed me up as we went further.
I think the other thing is, like TV show wise and movie wise, the only thing we agree on is Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that though. That's kind of cool.
Sit down and watch a movie that's not Marvel. We argue. We can't decide on a movie.
Yeah, because she's more rom-coms and Hallmark, and
I'm with you.
Yeah. And I like movies and comedies.
See, I'm action movies and horror, and Angie's all the other stuff. And we meet in the middle on some of it, but sometimes I just let her watch, like she's watching like some reality show, and I'm just playing with my phone or my iPad. That's how you sit on the couch.
I love Hallmark. He can't.
Oh boy, I'd rather take a beating.
He'll watch it with me once in a while, but he sits there and makes fun of it the entire time.
Oh, and that's the rule. If she wants me to sit and watch it, I get to make fun of it.
I hear you. That's like me. I have to finish The Walking Dead, but it's become like a comedy series to me now. It's too far invested, but it jumped the shark forever ago.
Oh yeah. So a fun fact, I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw it on Facebook today that the
probably true then.
Behind the scene things are coming out, or behind the scene stuff of WandaVision coming out. So they made the entire crew go through a sitcom boot camp before they started filming.
Oh wow, that doesn't surprise me.
No, not at all. It was like they said it was like a 2-week thing, and they had all the main people sit down, and they had to watch old sitcoms and discuss them, write about them, and kind of get a feel for them so they could know what they were doing. Yeah.
I want to know.
That doesn't surprise me a bit.
Elizabeth Olsen's for Full House.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well,
that doesn't surprise me because it was done so well. It was almost less of a gimmick and an absolute copy of the way those old shows are done because it was believable.
So right, like it was really well done.
The only thing they didn't do was degrade the quality of the filming. You know what I mean? Which I get why they didn't. But that's the only way you would know it really wasn't an old show.
Right.
That John Stamos put up a I think Instagram post or something of a picture of him and Elizabeth Olsen when she was little.
She's like a little kid. I saw that. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, and he was like, 1 minute they're a little kid running around the set, the next minute they're taking over the world as the Scarlet Witch or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Like creating.
Well, see, that's that little bit of nerd stuff. And I'm saying this respectfully, obviously, but that's what I referred to it as. But Angie is so far removed from this stuff, but she loves all of it. But she gets a kick out of the fact that the stupid stuff I'll tell her about the comics, like, okay, so that was the Scarlet Witch, but it looks like they're not doing that when we first saw her in the movies and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I get it. It's the same reason Wolverine doesn't have a yellow costume in the X. It doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know they were heading for the actual Scarlet Witch. You know what I mean? I thought they were just going to go with, they're never going to call her that. It's just, they make changes, like I said, that are more digestible on the screen. Because let's face it, some of the stuff in comics that I loved would be absolutely ridiculously stupid in a movie.
Well, and I never noticed that she was never called Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I never got that until they started doing the show. I'm like, I'll be damned.
Yeah, never did. And she never had the costume,
Yeah.
Vision looked a lot like the Vision from the comics, but except he didn't have the cape. But Or did he actually? He did. I can't remember now. Did he have a cape?
Yeah,
there's a trivia question.
No, but in the comics.
It depends on who's drawing him, I think, because I remember.
Okay, so here's a trivia question: did Vision have a cape in WandaVision?
He did
flying around
once. Yeah, when he was flying around, he had the cape, and I definitely know he had the cape when they were fighting.
Okay, so maybe he always had it.
I'm bringing up
in the '90s version.
Yeah, so the first 3 episodes are really interesting. You stayed in I think through most of the first 3 episodes, you stay in the little Westview reality that she creates and everything like that. You stick to the TV shows, and then we get into episode 4, which got me really excited because we got into the outside world, and we get episode 4 kicks off with the unblipping, whatever you want to call it, of Monica Rambeau, and I think this was one of the coolest parts of the whole series, because like the Russo brothers in interviews and stuff would say, oh, well, them coming back from the blip, it was not too bad and it was all right. And this showed that it was not the case. I
loved that aspect. We finally got to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're in this hospital, there is chaos going around. And this is another one you really got to pay attention to the voices when there's actual voices from old movies when she's coming back and reforming. And it's just crazy stuff. It's really cool. And I didn't really catch it before, but New Rockstar's catch, she runs into a dude while she's walking around and she's not moving very fast, and she drops that dude. He hits the floor hard when he shouldn't have hit that hard. So that's already showing that she wasn't fully human.
Yeah.
And I think that will be one of the things that come into play later down the road.
Oh,
You're
definitely.
Get more of her backstory, I think, in Captain Marvel 2 or maybe some other side series. But
the only indication that I remember about them talking about the blip and it not being like beings like chaos is there's a scene from Spider-Man Far From Home when Aunt May is having like a help group,
right?
And she's talking about how she came back into her apartment and they started beating her up because they thought she was the other woman.
Yeah.
It's like, because everybody came back to the exact spot they left from.
Yeah, and there's still all those crazy, because if you look too deep into it, it's kind of weird, because it's well, what if you were in a plane in the sky, right, and you snapped away? Do you reform back into the plane itself? Are you in the middle of the air?
Oh, I never heard of these questions. That's great.
Oh, yeah. Because everybody finds it, they kind of made it a little funny because there's the band comes back in the middle of a basketball game, mm-hmm, and the trumpet player, a tuba player gets hit, and it's Wah. So it's a little funny like that. But then if you really think about some of the horrors, and you get a little bit in this hospital scene, it's absolute chaos, and people just go up.
Yeah. It was done so well. And the other little Easter egg too, if this might be duh for a lot of the fans, mm-hmm, but the Rambeau family and connecting that to the Captain Marvel movie, I was, mm-hmm, explaining to Angie, remember the little kid in the Marvel movie, right, and she's like, I don't know. So we went back and watched Captain Marvel because she'd never seen it. So, mm-hmm, again, that's clever advertising in a way.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's a great tie-in to the previous stuff. But I thought it was done really well. The whole idea of being on the ground, it gave not to disrespect it, but almost like a 9/11 feel, a
little bit, yeah.
Absolute, because that's what it would be. Everybody would be freaking out.
Because that's a lot of people just to show up anywhere, let alone a hospital.
Yeah.
And
real quick, I want to show you. You've probably seen this, but this is one of the comics I had. You can see what they looked like back then. I mean, it was kind of like the Halloween costumes they were wearing in the show.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be running so much right now.
Oh, and don't even tell me. I know
so much money, so much.
Don't even tell me.
Pour one out for Dan's comic book collection.
Oh boy, I could tell you all the ones I had. I didn't have a Superman 1 or anything crazy like that, but I had some of the limited series that from 1, Punisher and Web of Spider-Man and all these that are total classics now. And some of those storylines have made it into the movies.
Oh yeah. Well, and going back to things that, talking about Monica and, her being the little girl in the other movie and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite things out of WandaVision altogether, is they went back to a lot of stuff that either didn't mean a lot, didn't get a lot of detail, and really changed some stuff, and not really retconned anything, just added way more to it. And now you look at, like, honestly, Age of Ultron looks a lot better now, because it wasn't one of my favorite movies, and it didn't.
I just rewatched that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a big favorite from everybody's.
Yeah.
But you get a whole new appreciation to it because of this show.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to see how Vision was born again, because I couldn't quite remember how that worked. And I don't think I ever knew how that worked in the comic. I don't think Iron Man had anything to do with it in the comic, but I can't remember to be sure.
No, in the comics, it's Hank Pym.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then Ultron builds Vision. So that one kind of stays the same. But you add Banner and Iron Man instead of Hank Pym. So
yeah,
a little different. But yeah, we get a lot of background on Monica and how she gets into the world and everything like that for episode.
It also gives you a sense of time, because we forget. Sometimes you're like, okay, well, what is this, like a week later? And then you see, she's grown up. It gives you a sense of how much time has passed.
Yeah. You get a time of pass from her. And then I can't remember if it's this episode or a couple episodes later. I'm glad they actually pinpoint a time of when this whole event happens, which is about 3 weeks after everybody comes back. So the crazy thing is, WandaVision actually, all the events in WandaVision happened before the Spider-Man 2.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's some crazy stuff now too, because that affects a little bit of what was going on then, and then also it's going to be fun how they place everything, because we get Falcon and the Winter Soldier next. It's like, okay, is this right after? Same time frame, a little bit after.
It makes you wonder how they do. It's like, to go back to the Lost thing I mentioned. It makes you. I don't know if you guys ever watched that, but again, old guy reference. But it's how much of it was really woven in, and how much of it are they kind of trying to weave in, even though it wasn't planned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
is that what retcon means? I don't know what that means.
Redcon is more of so you have a specific storyline of a comic book character or whatever it is. But I know comics. So like this comic character has like this happened to him, this happened to him, this happened to him. Well, a new writer comes in and wants to change things up a bit. So they go and change either their backstory or changes something to the character.
I get it. So it means retroactive comics, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I don't think they went and changed a lot of stuff in this series or in stuff in the background. They just added to it and added more to it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I do too.
But then we get into like episode 5 and 6 is you're getting Vision starting to I think 4, 5, and 6, and definitely 5 and 6, Vision starting to realize something is not right.
Yeah.
And he's starting to realize the kids show up, and you're starting to feel that shift in the show.
Yeah.
And it's starting to take those darker turns. Now and we talked off camera a little bit, there's a point where you start not liking the show as much. Is this where we're getting to?
Yeah, no. So I'll tell you what, a couple things threw me off there. One of them was, this isn't a good way, but one of them was the whole time having watched all the Marvel stuff, I didn't think it was really Vision. I thought this is something that I guess somewhere early we started suspecting this is some kind of illusion that she's doing. Then we were thrown off by the commercials that have like the Hydra logos in them.
Right.
And I thought, okay, wait a minute. Maybe it's not her. Maybe it's Hydra doing this. But we were in the back of our heads. We do this with every movie and ruin everything. We try to figure out the plot at the end, or who's the murderer or whatever. And we were kind of like, this is not Vision, because we know Vision died. When he started noticing things were off, it started making me think, okay, this has to be Vision, because if it was an illusion she's making, he would never be questioning anything. You know what I mean? He's thinking on his own, and she didn't like it. And it made me think, Okay. And I still have some gray in my brain around that whole thing. Like, yeah, did she just make a vision from thin air? Was it supposed to be an actual being that was there? Apparently so. But for a long time, I thought it was just an illusion. I thought the kids were an illusion.
It depends on how you look at it. Inside the reality she created, they were real.
Yeah.
Like they actually existed. They were real. Like that's how even Hayward was able to track the vision inside.
Yeah.
Because it was showing very subtly and very slowly how much power she has into play. I mean,
what I wondered if she took the parts though, because remember when it showed her burst in to the facility where they had taken Vision apart and they were trying to figure out how to make him into a weapon.
Yep.
They didn't really show you, so I thought, did she collect all that up and go put it back together? You know, that was, and if so, had she do it without the stone? It was a whole big, you know.
Yeah.
Like, did she just like reanimate the dead?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it kind of plays into that when he goes and turns around the one episode and he's corpse vision.
Then we knew, right? Yeah.
Shit out of me. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
That was terrifying.
But that wasn't where, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but that's not where we start. And again, all art is great. It's not, for me, I loved the show up until the second to the last show. And then we were really, I say tuning out, but we wanted to see it, but we were very displeased with the storyline. I felt like it just got silly for us. I mean, we were so into it. It was so high concept. And then one episode came out where they basically went, okay, in case you weren't paying attention, let us walk you through everything that was really happening. I hated that. It was like, don't do that. Don't dumb it down for us.
See, now, are you talking when Agatha and Scarlet Witch went through like her history and everything?
Yeah, but also they kind of, when they went through her history, they walked back through everything. They kind of spelled out what was off in the show the whole time instead of just, you know what I mean? I just don't like the full exposition. It was like an exposition fest. That's what we were saying from the couch on that one, you know?
Gotcha. See, I really dug that episode because basically it made her relive her trauma.
Yeah, true.
Focus on, and it also added, this was going back and adding to different things too. So we've heard the story from Pietro and Wanda of the Stark bomb hitting their family home and not going off.
Yeah.
And in Age of Ultron, the story was that it was defective and it didn't work. And they just had to hear that beeping.
Yeah.
And now they have gone and changed it and showed that wasn't the case because Stark Tech very rarely
fails, right?
It was her already magical, already power. Yeah. So this also goes back to, because there's some other stuff, and this is where you got to kind of read a little bit of everything. There's a book, The Wakanda Files, that is actually MCU canon. It's real, and it's written by Shuri, and it's her from Black Panther, and it's her like looking into all this stuff, old files from different people, and all kinds of different stuff. Right. And they actually say Hydra picked Sokovia because those people in Sokovia had an extra gene or something extra to them that made them have abilities.
Or more prone to, Well, see, isn't that a mutant, though? That's what I'm waiting for. It's almost like she's the first mutant in the whole series.
And I think that, to me, I think that's kind of why they did that episode of kind of explaining her more of a backstory kind of thing, because we always thought the Stark Tech just didn't work, but then we see that she had something to do with it to stop it from going off.
Yeah.
She was always like that before they mess with her with the Mind Stone.
And I like that aspect of it for sure. I guess to me, I'm going to jump right in and really tell you what was killing it for us. The actress that plays Agatha, I love her. I can't think of her name, but I love her in everything she's been in. She's in like Step Brothers. She's in a million movies and shows that we've seen, and we love her. She's hilarious. Mm-hmm. We could not take her serious. She was the least threatening villain I've ever seen. We were laughing while she's doing all her. We're like, are you kidding me? So I just
think of her as a villain.
What's that?
I couldn't really think of her as a villain.
I couldn't either. I couldn't take her serious. So even the big fight between them and all, I'm like, I'm trying not to laugh.
Yeah, I knew who she was, but I didn't I guess I haven't seen her as in much stuff.
I've seen her so much, and she's always she's never serious.
No, she's the goofiest one in the room usually. And so something about that, and again, she's a very talented actress, but something about that was just killing it for us. So we never saw her as a threat, not even through the entire final episode. It was just we couldn't take her serious, and that's kind of what killed it for us. I think it was a casting thing for us.
Okay. See, I was okay with her, and I really loved the Agatha all along thing. I thought that was a cute way to do it and kind of just show what she was up to and stuff.
Right.
I was surprised when you go into that next episode after Agatha all along, and it's not really her. Like, the song's actually kind of wrong. Like, she was screwing with some stuff and messing up stuff here and there. And maybe that was just to swerve you, and then you go back and it really is one. And just to keep you guessing. But that was a little weird to me. But I actually really dug her in this role, and honestly, she feels like the next Loki for me.
Well, because I like her, Catherine Hahn, like the whole other part of the series of the characters that she played.
She was amazing.
Eras, amazing, because that's on. But like her as a villain, I'm like, nope.
I'm exactly there with you. She nailed it as the nosy neighbor in every generation. That is her bread and butter and everything she's in. She was perfect fit for that. Yeah, but when she became a threat, and I think this is also one of those things where maybe the more nerdy community was more disappointed. I don't know. I just know for myself where I knew some of the theories. I knew supposedly Doctor Strange might show up at the end. I knew Mr. Scratchy. Well, Scratch is the last name of Mephisto, and it's almost like when someone tells you, "Oh my God, this movie is so great, you have to go see this movie." It's automatically really got a high standard. You're better off if you didn't hear that,
right?
So all those theories and stuff at the last episode, we were like, "Wait, what?" And even the after credit scene at the very end. It was like it walked it back a little bit for me because of the Doctor Strange reference, but it was, and we could talk about that. But
that's that, because a lot of people aren't fully getting that. And if you look into it a little bit different light, it kind of means a lot more. But yeah, I went into this and I was good all the way till the second to last episode. The final was okay for me, but not as good as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I really thought we were going to end this series with the multiverse broken.
So did I. Or an opening into the MCU movies. It was almost self-contained.
Yeah. There wasn't, like, to me, to make this,
or the start of mutants.
Yeah, or the start of
mutants. Or that. Yeah.
To me, I thought there would be at least something big. So when we talk about Iron Man nowadays, Iron Man was the kickoff of the MCU.
Yeah.
There are certain movies like Captain America Winter Soldier is like kind of the big turning point of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra coming back. And that was a big event. So I thought with the first series they were going to do for Disney Plus, there was going to be like a groundbreaking moment.
I did too, and
there is, but I think it's going to be,
subtle.
You'll find out a few things down the road.
I think you're right. And I think one of the other things too was, as you mentioned earlier, they filmed some scenes that weren't in it. They changed the ending. They changed part of it. I just read a big article. This is not a rumor. They're coming out and saying there's footage that they didn't use because they made some changes along the way for whatever reason. It makes me wonder if the original version was really going to go more towards Mephisto or more towards Doctor Strange. And if they thought, well, maybe it's too much of a grand finale before we have two more shows that are coming. I don't know. I don't know what the thought was, but one thing I really did like is, this is going to get a little bit deep for a minute, but Vision wasn't real. He was a thing she made. Everybody's bummed that Vision died, but White Vision was real.
Right.
And now that fake Vision unlocked White Vision's full memory span and he took off, now there's a real Vision flying around. Right. And it goes back to that little philosophical conversation they had about the ship where, if you removed every part and rebuilt it, is it the same ship? And I have a feeling that's going to come into play in the movies, because now there's a Vision who's real. He remembers everything from the old Vision. Vision going to end up getting back together with her, this other Vision, even though it's not necessarily exactly the same one. It's kind of the same as Guardians of the Galaxy, if you think about it.
Yeah,
because it's not really the same one.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. That part of it was a cool thing to me because it sort of brought Vision back. But in my mind, and again, who am I to judge this? But in my mind, the whole series would have been 100% better without Agatha being a supervillain. I know you feel different, and that's cool, but for me, they didn't need her. The whole show could have been awesome just with S.H.I.E.L.D. being able to get in and her powers weakening, and finally they send in the White Vision. I guess the aspect of Agatha was just I just couldn't. It just came off silly to us for whatever reason. And Angie is laying on the couch, and I'm sitting there thinking, what? But I don't say that we're watching. And she goes, it's losing me now. And that's usually her key for, I was liking this up until now. And now I'm kind of like, I posted and I'm a little careful not to crap all over art, but I posted on Facebook, Fonzie on the skis. And I'm like, I hope this isn't about what's about to happen because I felt like this is where we're going,
Because I really liked the character of Agatha when she was the nosy neighbor.
Yeah, me too.
And because the biggest role that I know Catherine Hahn from is Crossing Jordan.
Oh, I don't know that one.
So it was late 90s, early 2000s, I think. And it was a show about the staff in a coroner's office.
Oh, and nice.
He was the assistant, but she was the happy, bubbly. Like everybody else is working, they work in a morgue, and she's like the happy, bubbly that she has to deal with with the people, and she has that like everything's sunshine and rainbows and funny.
Yeah, that's her. That seems to be her personality to me.
Then I see her in this, I'm like, okay, she makes I thought something because she's always kind of like you could see that she knows something was going on, like that she knew it was fake or something. But then try to do her as the villain, and I'm like, even though she plays a villain.
Oh
yeah, I'm with you though.
In Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, she's awesome in that.
But she does the voice.
Yeah, the voice, which she has a good bad guy voice.
Hold on, who did she play in Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Doc Ock.
Oh, I love that movie. Oh, I love it so much. I didn't realize that was her doing that voice. Yeah, they're making another one of those too.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah,
that was great.
But my thing was I didn't think she needed to be the big bad. I thought she was going to be the person that brought in the big bad, like
a catalyst for Mephisto. Yeah, that's the. And there's still. This is the part I was talking about before we came on the air. I can't remember the lore enough, but I could have swore that in the comics she's his wife or something. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
I don't. That one.
I don't know if it's wife, but she's like friends with Scarlet Witch, but I don't know if it's wife or just works for.
She works for Mephisto and like manipulates Wanda to have the kids to like basically bring in Mephisto. Like the kids are part of Mephisto some weirdly how.
Yeah, I remember like there's somebody's soul gets bound to one of them or something. And there's a whole thing in the comics too where White Vision when the multiverse opened, hang on to your nerd helmets here, but when the multiverse opens, another Vision comes in who's evil.
Right.
And the White Vision fights him, and somehow they end up negotiating and trade forms, and that's how you get a real Vision back, and the White Vision is bad guy, and it is more clear for the reader. It's kind of what it was for. But it would be cool to see them do that in a way. And I guess what I keep saying silly is that's one thing the Marvel movies have done so well is the whole concept of all this stuff in superheroes is kind of silly, but they do it in such a way that it really brought me back to my childhood because as a kid, this stuff was taken so serious and the comics are written so well nowadays, if you get a comic that comes out now, it's written very serious and there's gore and it's amazing as far as storytelling. The ones I read were really silly compared to this.
Right.
The Marvel have done a really great job of taking some of those old storylines and making them cool. And I felt like that's where I felt like WandaVision kind of didn't. I feel like it was cool up until she became the villain, and then it felt silly like the old comic books again to me.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of stuff like you get an ending there's no big ending, or like there's no big breaking moment that's gonna lead into other stuff, I felt like. And there was a lot of unanswered questions or stupidly answered questions too.
Well, for me,
dude,
with Agatha, I thought like in the comic, she just manipulates on behalf of Mephisto. So I was when she was taking Wanda back through her trauma and her memories, that's what I was still thinking of. Okay, she's trying to make her like delve deep into how she got this magic and this power, and there's like another big bad going to show up, and then
she's going to pull the curtain back and he's going to come out. Yeah.
Like this.
Right. But do you think that's coming? Because I can't help but think Mr. Scratchy. God, I wish I could remember Mephisto's human name, but the last name was Scratch, I believe. Do you think that they're still planting a seed for something there?
I think so. I think there's a lot of seeds planted where they could take it and he could show up. He could even be, or something like him could come in for Doctor Strange. I still want to know what the
bunny rabbit was.
Yeah, they never really.
That's what I mean by Mr. Scratchy. That's his name.
Yeah, they don't understand.
Like explain
because he eats a bird.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's why I think. And if you were to Google it, I can't do that fast enough without looking away for too long. But Mephisto's human name, his last name was Scratch, and it can't be a coincidence that Mr. Scratchy. Well, there's got to be a tie in there.
Old Scratch is like a nickname for the devil.
Yeah, no, but it was like I can't remember, Ricky Scratch or something like that. But. So while she's looking that up, I have one more thing that probably the biggest. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Nicholas Scratch. There you go.
That's Agatha's son.
Oh, that's the son. That's right. That's right. See, I'm not dependable.
But you can look up.
So I'll tell you my biggest disappointment, and then I'll stop going negative here. It literally introduced Quicksilver from the X-Men movies for a dick joke.
Yeah. Now,
I mean. We were so excited about that. We were like, oh my God, this is how they're doing it. This is how they're connecting those universes together. This is going to be the coolest thing. So unless there's more to come.
Right.
But the guy with the boner name, and I was like, what are you? This is like a joke for a minute.
What I couldn't understand though is, okay, so he's
they just wanted to troll
he's boner or he's some actor or whatever.
Yeah, it's like they trolled us. Yeah.
Because the water bill goes back a while back. How the hell does he have super speed? Like just that necklace controlled him and gave him super speed?
Yeah. So now you're going down the silly avenue that I was thinking, like, right. And it just so happens to be the guy that we all know was Quicksilver from X-Men. Come on.
Now the only thing I could think of is that they show because we're getting like in Spider-Man, and there's a lot of people are thinking multiverse stuff's going to happen in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And you already have J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
They have announced that the guy that played Doc Ock is coming back.
Yep. Andrew Garfield.
Right, but wasn't
Andrew Garfield has not been confirmed.
Tobey Maguire though.
Or Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
But
didn't the same guy play J. Jonas in all the Spider-Man movies?
Well, he plays it in the first 3. He does not show up in the Amazing Spider-Man. But then what's his face from Amazing Spider-Man? He played Electro. Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx has signed up. Yeah.
They announced him. So what I'm thinking, the only way I can think of them like making this work is there is almost like some movies, and the only one I can think of off the top of my head is The One, and there's different multiverses, and there's the same people in every one.
Yeah.
But they're different. So you have a guy that looks like Quicksilver in the MCU world.
Yeah.
Then if you get the multiverses, there's a Fox world, and the one that we know of Quicksilver shows up.
Okay, cool. Did they ever tell his name in the Fox world? I can't remember. I think they did. Yeah, they did because they were in the basement and visited him. But see, that also confuses me about the rules here, because it sounds like in the multiverse there are versions of you, and they look like you, but some of them are different. Then how can we have potentially different Spider-Mans that don't look like each other?
Right. Well, now technically, and they would have, they're either going to have to vaguely explain it or kind of explain or do detail explaining, because as of right now, we still really don't have a multiverse.
Yeah.
because nothing really happened at the end of WandaVision to go
down that road.
It looks from Fox, but he was Boner, so that's not the same.
Right.
So I'm not sure. There's a lot more explaining that needs to happen, and I don't know if we're going to get it anytime soon. We may get it from Spider-Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Things is,
or there was another theory. I don't know how it would work,
right?
But that the Quicksilver.
Yeah, Fox's Quicksilver.
Fox's Quicksilver was somehow the sun's speed.
Oh,
older.
That would be a stretch. There would be some mathematical equations that have to go down.
Yeah. Well, also, just to touch on that whole people not looking the same, I guess it could, because the idea with the multiverse is everything that possibly could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it just splits off into another, the whole Brian Greene string theory thing. But quantum physics and such, I know it kind of plays into that. It could be that, you two are sitting there in one universe, you got bit by the spider. In another universe, you just barely missed you and bit her. And that could explain why that's different people.
Yeah. You could still be in that universe, but you're not Spider-Man.
Right. You're just some guy. Yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
No, not Pietro.
Peter. Oh, in the Fox one? Yeah. Well, yeah, he's going to be a Maximoff because Fox had the rights to be able to
Then where's the sister in Fox?
They didn't have the rights to her. I don't know. The rights on the movie stuff before
have really goofed us up. Yeah.
Very weird. Well, and they have to tiptoe around it right now.
Thank God Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What was that? I think I cut you off there.
That was said that's why they killed off Pietro in MCU because they didn't have rights to him.
Yeah, they were.
That's why they killed him off.
Fox allowed him to be used, but you weren't allowed to say mutants. He was not allowed to be Quicksilver.
Yeah,
and not allowed to be an Avenger. So they killed his ass off at the end of the movie.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Yeah. That's why I was starting to say I'm so glad they saved Spider-Man. That was such a creative way, because such a major character. I mean,
oh yeah,
from the comics, he was an Avenger. He was without him there, it was really weird. So I'm glad they kind of recovered that.
Got to keep playing nice because we had that little scare a couple years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I almost cried.
Yeah, that was, and I will tell you though, not just because he was my favorite when I was a kid, he was my favorite reading comics in the 80s, but he's always been my favorite character, and I love how they finally did it in such a way with Spider-Man that it's digestible. I mean, I liked the old ones. I liked Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, but in comparison, this is like the Spider-Man we all knew from the comics, from even the old comics. He was unsure of himself. He was a kid. He was a mess. He was a scientist. He, remember the big controversy about Tobey Maguire shooting webs out of his arms instead of web shooters.
Yeah.
Angie just had that conversation last night. She goes, no, it makes more sense that it's out of his arms. And I go, it would be out of his butt if it was really going to be realistic. So let's just go with the web shooters.
Yeah.
I want a multiverse where he shoots it out of his ass.
You never know.
He just shows up real quick and you see him swing. That's all I want. You don't have to
hey, look, they got Spider Pig. You never know.
Mm-hmm. But we're getting a little bit close to the end of the show.
Yeah, sure.
I want to wrap up with the end of this series, which it left some stuff open. So my thing with I really like the end credit scene with her. You go to the cabin. She's up front sipping coffee. You roll through, and then there's a projection of her reading through the what is it? Darkhold.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are like not fully getting it, and I've actually had to explain it to a couple of people.
Well, they did an exact scene like that in Doctor Strange.
Right. But what is Doctor Strange doing in his...
He's going through all the multiverses.
He's sleeping. And when Doctor Strange is doing the astral projection and reading through the books, his real body
is...
And
I'll tell you what I get from that. I get that, and this ties into one of the things that Agatha said. There's a name for Doctor Strange. They don't call him Doctor Strange. They call him the Ultimate Sorcerer or something like that. Do you remember that term? What is it?
Sorcerer Supreme.
Right. So she makes a comment about the Scarlet Witch being stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme. To me, she doesn't have to sleep to do the astral projection thing. That's what it was saying, is that she can do it both at the same time because she's on a different power level than here. Say it again.
she already proved that she is already stronger because she's able to run a conscious body and
Yes.
get up, walk, pour tea, and everything, and have the astral projection, that thing that was floating in the sky.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So that's already just a subtle way to prove that she's already stronger.
And I have a feeling, I wish I could remember the comics better, but I think the whole premise is that she's one of the strongest characters in the whole universe. She's kind of a villain now, too, if you think about it.
Yeah. So the big thing with the Nexus medicine that you saw, she is a Nexus being. So she is, I don't know the full definition of it, but basically she's like the center point of all of the multiverses. So she can be everywhere. And she's going to be the connecting point that breaks it or messes with it or does whatever it is to get us into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And what I really think you're going to see over, we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, the Eternals, Black Widow, Spider-Man 3, and I know I'm missing one or two. I think Hawkeye's in there too. I think you're going to see little bits, either stuff in the background or post-credit scenes or something. She's already going to start messing things up and start breaking things. And
opening the multiverse.
Because she's going to be looking for her boys. It may not be a true villain but she's going to be a psycho mom with really strong powers, and she's going to fuck some shit up to find her boys.
The whole Jean Grey thing, where it's like she's,
And by the time we get to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, shit's going to be, it's either going to be already broken, or it's going to be
creates the Multiverse of Madness, or
it's going to be like you'll see her and she breaks it, and that's the kickoff to the movie. That is
pouring through. So I have a question. There's a lot of rumors around who the master villain is going to be. Do you think there's going to be one?
I don't know. Because I mean, you could go back to maybe this is the way Mephisto finally shows up, or Nightmare, or one of the demonic characters, and finally shows up because she's been screwing around this whole time and opening spots, and he's able to walk through the back door.
Yeah.
I
never thought about it. That the way you described that, her breaking open the multiverse and starting this whole thing, looking for her kids, that's brilliant. So that would be great. That would be that. So I may have to walk back my thoughts on the show a little bit after I see what happens. But in and of itself, I was really disappointed with the last two episodes. I
was disappointed with the last one. Again, I thought there was going to be a more like explosion event and a big boom, and then I was kind of mad with the witch fight because it was just basically. I really loved the Vision one more.
Well, and my thing when I was thinking I was going to be seeing at the last episode was either she breaks open the multiverse, or what Darcy says about Monica's genetics changing because she's through the force field. That like when she made that force field bigger and then made it smaller, like somehow that's how she creates mutants or like kicks off the gene for the mutant.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was waiting for.
I really thought they were gonna like explode the thing around Westview, and it would cause a big ray to go across the earth, and then some people would be turned into mutants. Because if you go by just people going in and out of it, just a little section of New Jersey is mutants. And even Kevin Smith, who's from New Jersey, he goes, "I love New Jersey, but just mutants, it doesn't work." So it's
but see, I never thought of it that way. I thought, and I'm still thinking that, when we first heard that the rights for the X-Men are there now, we thought, well, what are they just going to pretend like they didn't exist up until now? Maybe they'll start them new, but they might do this. There's so much. I know not all those movies were wonderful, but there's so many fans of that already. It made me wonder if that's going to be another one of the multiverses, that in one of the multiverses, the X-Men already exist.
Maybe.
Yeah, I did hear that they have confirmed that they're in the works of making the first thing involving mutants, which I'm pretty sure it's called The Mutants. I don't know if it's a film or a show yet. But
a show.
Might have been a show. I see them maybe pulling a few fan favorites of a multiverse thing, but I think they're really going to want to create their own thing, because if you bring in the old stuff, Even if you bring in the people from
The younger one, first class.
younger people, their stories are fucked up. Because if you watch, they jump every movie's a different decade, but nobody ages.
Well, hey, they did it with Spider-Man already.
Right. But it's just
think about that. He came back from the snap and everyone's the same age.
Well, Well,
Angie and I thought that too. Like, did it just so happen that every character we know also got snapped?
Also, all the important characters got snapped, so we could easily write a story.
Okay, got it.
Little prick that went from like little, and now he's really big, and then became a douche, and we almost blow him up with Stark Tech.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping that I'm really hoping the two big things, mutants and multiverse, you see slowly branch through.
Introduce.
I think they really change a lot of stuff because WandaVision wasn't supposed to be the first thing for Phase 4. It was supposed to be like the third or fourth.
It just timed out that way
because they had COVID, lovely COVID, pushed everything back. So Black Widow was supposed to be the very first thing, which I thought was weird as hell. It's like you're going to go back in time to kick off your next phase.
But the bigger point that you raise is they had to have made significant changes to the plots of all these things to make them work in a different order.
Yeah,
because they've been really good about that.
I really hope at one point we get like a conversation or like a Comic-Con panel of like what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, me too.
Dying to know, like even if it's like 5 or 10 years down the road, I just want to know how it's supposed to be. But yeah, like the whole order got shifted around.
Yeah,
and I even think Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out before WandaVision.
Yeah, so it could have been
interesting too because that got pushed back because I don't think they had that 100% in the can before COVID started.
So before we wrap up, I have a couple thoughts. One, do you wonder if this whole WandaVision show, which is the main topic here, leads to the multiverse opening in Doctor Strange? Do you wonder if there's going to be a Iron Man in the other universes?
Robert Downey Jr. has said never say never.
I know. That's why I asked.
I would love it, but it has to be a very different Tony Stark.
Yeah.
It has to be an evil one, or they even filmed some stuff where he was like Iron Man, Sorcerer Supreme, or some shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's actually some deleted stuff that they basically switched outfits.
But here's the thing: it doesn't have to be Tony Stark at all.
No, it could be.
That's true.
The point of multiverse, of how they explained it in Doctor Strange, is like when they were talking about taking the stones out of the timeline, it creates a new timeline.
Right.
Yeah. It's the whole Doc Brown thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like with in Spider-Man, how they explain the multiverse is like how we get Spider-Gwen. Peter dies.
Right.
So it's just little things that happen. So it could be it can be not Tony Stark at all.
It could be. He could play a totally different character. Hell, he Steve Rogers, or I think it'd be cool if he does come as he's Tony Stark, but he's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Or it could be like Tony Stark could actually end up being Captain America because Howard
tested him
instead.
Yeah.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. I think he was critical in grounding this whole thing because he takes it so serious.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very easy to accept serious character, even with all these crazy notions that we're talking about,
Yeah. They do have to keep him away for a while, though, I think, because his death meant so much at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
That and there's even talks of Chris Evans coming back, which Chris Evans is a little bit different because you just see old man Cap. So he can come back in a variety of different ways, and I don't think he would mess it up.
You don't really know where he was, and also the multiverse side, but yeah. I mean, all in all, I don't think WandaVision was terrible. I just think it was to me, it took a left at the very end when it could have been amazing, and it kind of just fizzled.
I think they missed out on some opportunities to make it a bigger bang than what it could have been.
Yeah.
All the way up till the second to last episode was amazing. And then that last episode, I'm just like, all right. And now I'm just hoping
that was kind of Angie.
Now it's made a lot of older stuff even better. and added some new stuff. We've got a new superhero born. We got Monica Rambeau, who's doing some stuff. So I'm excited.
A new Vision.
And we got a new Vision. He hopefully he gets a spray paint job because he was terrifying. Like even when
that's why I'm hoping they do the switch over like the comics.
Yeah, just add a little paint to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very, but as a new thing that they're doing as Disney Plus shows, it was not disappointing as at least a new Disney Plus show because it involved the cinematic universe. It changed some stuff, added to it. It did not ignore it, and it wasn't off to the right like the Netflix shows.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe it'll become more relevant as we go.
Yeah. I think some stuff that we've seen here, once we get, the next year or two, we're going to go, oh, shit. And we get to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, there's going to be like, okay, yeah, I see what they did there.
And that's why I'm waiting for Loki series so much, because it's him in the Time Variance Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fixing the timelines.
Yeah.
So maybe she's already messing them up and they're having to send him to start fixing them.
Yeah, that gives the opportunity to change some things. But I think the trick here is just like the comics used to cross over. It used to be so awesome because I was a big fan of the Beyonder, which is a big enemy in the Secret Wars comics. But there was crossover before that. Like you might read Spider-Man and something happens and you read Fantastic Four and they would talk about the thing that happened in Spider-Man.
Right.
They would have covers you could put together and it would make one picture.
Yeah.
But with the movies, Disney or Marvel almost has to be careful not to make it a requirement to have Disney Plus to understand the movies. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
For those of us that watch all that stuff, it makes it better. But you should be able to just skip right from, Endgame to Multiverse of Madness or the last Spider-Man movie, I guess, and follow it still. And it should be subtle. In the background, things happen, but you didn't have to see it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of you're going to have to watch it because it's going to play like the movie. Maybe it won't be super crucial, and maybe they'll talk about some stuff because there's even some movies you see here and there that it'd be better if you saw the stuff before it, but you don't have to.
Right.
Well, and then that makes me wonder, like with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and Black Widow, because all of those time-wise are before
Spider-Man.
Before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
true.
Like all of I know it's just the technology of the drones, but all of those creatures, maybe that's why it was so much more believable to people.
Oh, maybe.
Because they were starting leaks of this like magic type thing that Wanda was
doing. And we kept seeing the one guy talks about witches. One of the teachers, scientists.
Oh yeah, the
mentions
teacher
witches.
talks about witches all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, it was the witch.
Yeah.
So some witch stuff may have come out of WandaVision and started seeping through everything.
They must have like a huge big wall of ideas. I picture like yarn
I want to know if you keep track.
Like that big, like the serial killer wall.
Exactly. That's what I picture. Like little cutouts and strings and yeah, exactly.
Guy that keeps it all together and it's probably one of the main people is Kevin Feige. But it's his wall. He has to have just like one room, and it's probably not a wall. It's probably like one weird 3D diagram thing, and you have to like limbo under it to get around that office. But
yeah, they're doing a great job of keeping it all tied together. I mean, I was disappointed, but I think I'll be signing up for the next movie for sure.
I'm excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I can't wait for it to come out because that's going to be. I liked WandaVision because it made you think. They had tension and it was. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're going back to the fighting, and I think it's more unique fighting and explosions and kind of that action movie style. So I'm ready to get back into that.
I hear you.
The last episode of WandaVision that I kind of noticed and that I kind of thought about was like the whole mutant thing with like he said the hex blowing up and activating these genes, because when in the end when Wanda's leaving, everyone is looking at her with hatred.
Yeah.
They were being controlled. So, in all the mutant movies, all the X-Men movies, there's always that hatred of the mutants.
Yep.
That whole group that always starts problems. So to me, that seemed like almost the start of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of that for sure.
Yeah. They were pissed, and they're not going to know the difference between a mutant, a Scarlet Witch, and a superhero. It's going to be all the same. So yeah,
it's that whole Civil War discussion again.
Mhm.
It's almost like I told you, they're dangerous.
The
Yep.
Sokovia Accords.
Well, and you get with Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're going to have Zemo messing up. He wants heroes to go away. So you're going to have that aspect being played into it. And then in Spider-Man, at the end of Spider-Man 2, he's a murderer and he's out. So by the end of this little group of stuff, everybody's got 8 heroes.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the other big thing we need to fix too by the time we get into some of these other movies is fixing the credibility of heroes.
Yeah. I'm super excited for the next Spider-Man. Super excited for that one.
I can't wait. Yeah, we've actually gone over a little bit of time.
Yeah, it was fun though. That was a great conversation about it.
Yeah, and thank you, Dan, so much for coming on and being part of this. It was nice not to just talk to ourselves.
Yeah, this was great.
Where can everybody find It's All Fine and Dangy?
You can find It's All Fine and Dangy, our weekly podcast. It comes out every Monday. We focus on local events. We focus on local small business. We focus on local artists like Josh.
Yes.
Local charities, but you can find us at fineanddangy.com. That's Dan and Angie. Get it? Dangy. And it's spelled Danjee because Angie's name is spelled Anjee. But you can find us there. We're all over social media at Fine and Dangy and Facebook and Instagram. And come check us out.
Yeah. And congrats on your 100th episode. That's awesome.
Thank you. That was very fun. Yeah. Time has flown, but yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys already hit that because we did our crossover episode and you were, I think, maybe to the halfway point or a little less.
A little less than, but yeah, we've been doing it religiously every week, rain or shine. We've had a guest on 90% of the episodes. When we go on vacation or something, we still do one. We've done it on the beach with remote mics and talked about the place that we're staying or the beach that we're staying. And we've gotten more laser focused, thanks largely to Angie, who's in the other room out there. Yeah. So this whole next era of the podcast is very, very focused on, like, I said, all the local stuff, but very focused on making sure that each episode gives you information. And we've really done that for the most part anyway, but we wanted there to be a lot of value in each episode. So very
cool.
Yeah, it's going well.
Again, thank you so much for the show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you guys.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think will happen next. If you guys got some theories out there, I love reading comments and all that good stuff. Again, I am Josh of J Bauer Art. This is Back Talk with Bauer. You can find all my stuff, support the show, the podcast, the artwork, everything like that at jbauerart.com. All the paintings back here you see back around me are for sale. Got the comic covers. Make sure to check out the Iron Man print that's exclusive right now. There's only 20 available. 2 have already been sold. So you can only get those until March 15th. But yeah, hit up jbauerart.com for all that good stuff. Other than that, I will catch you guys next week. Later.